Alright, so today we are moving on to a new genre, which is Pierrot Ensemble. And if you're not familiar with this type of ensemble, it's a mixed quintet is sort of the core group of flute, clarinet, violin, cello, piano. The first piece to use this type of ensemble was a piece by Arnold Schoenberg called Pierrot Lunaire, which was written around 1912, and it's become the namesake of the ensemble. The piece we'll be looking at today is from 2012, and it's by composer Patricia Alessandrini. It's for a slightly different variation on this, so alto flute, clarinet, viola, cello, percussion, and amplified piano. And the piece's title is Black is the Color, Omaggio a Berio. It's a homage to the composer Luciano Berio, the Italian composer, and it's referencing a piece he wrote in 1964 called Folk Songs. This is a song cycle that he wrote for the vocalist Kathy Berberian, and it has a similar ensemble, although you would have to swap the piano for harp. And this piece is interesting because Berio was a modernist composer. He studied with Luigi Nono and later became successful as a modernist composer. But this piece is entirely made up of arrangements of folk songs, and they're not that out there. Like the songs can be heard very clearly, and it opens with two American songs, Black is the Color and I Wonder as I Wander. Obviously, Patricia is referencing the first one, and she is most likely quoting it. I'll have to look at the program note here. We're going to be listening to a recording by the International Contemporary Ensemble, which premiered the work. And Ice, the performance by Ice here is only 7 minutes long, so it's a small concert work. She has a lot of multimedia works, theatrical works, and works including live electronics. She's worked with a number of new music ensembles. It doesn't say here, but I believe she was born in 1970. And she's had a bit of an academic career too, it looks like, teaching at the Academia Musicale Pascarez and Bangor University, and Sonic Arts lecturer at Goldsmiths. And she studied in the Conservatorio di Bologna, Strasbourg Conservatory, and IRCAM, holds 2 PhDs. And some of her teachers include Ivan Fidel, Paul Kuntz, Tristan Marai, and Thea Musgrave. So some pretty big names in there. On this piece, she writes, I wanted to write a homage to Berio following his death in 2003. She was asked to write this piece for the Soundscape Festival in Italy. She is trying to complete a project which engages with the material of Berio's folk songs. She says that she almost always bases her compositions on existing repertoire because musical material itself is not important to her, but rather the act of composing from that material, something like an interpretation or performance. She claims that Berio was not interested in finding new sounds, but carving them out from what already exists. That's another extension of her idea with this piece. Let's have a look at the performance notes, because I think there's some interesting stuff going on just based on the first frame of the video. So all the performers are gathered around the piano with open lid. There's one contact mic inside the piano and then another microphone over the low strings on the end of the piano. And the 4 musicians are playing on the inside of the piano in different registers of the instrument, which are related to how they're seated. Either scrubbing the strings softly with the fingertips or vertical bowing the strings. Playing on the outer edges of the piano frame. Some of the symbols mean different things depending on the instrument that they're assigned to. And there are a number of percussion instruments. For the percussionist, dulcimer, which is laid flat on a table. 2 crotales, one in D, one in E, both of them from the lower octave. And then 2 temple bowls, pitched in E and G. A cymbal and fine chains. And 2 leather cymbalum mallets, and then 2 other mallets that are very soft. And you can see from the first page of the work here that it starts very slow with these first 6 measures. Each one of them is measured in seconds with a fermata, and different members of the ensemble are playing the inside of the piano with friction mostly, but some of the other musicians are playing their instruments. It looks like the viola might be starting by playing some extended techniques on their instrument. Yeah, bowing the strings just above the tailpiece, like between the bridge and the tailpiece probably. And then at the end of the first page we kick into an actual tempo, and I think we're just going to get a mix of rhythms and things, etc. Yeah, so it's a very pretty score. This is an example of a score where the staves are printed like as if they were engraved, and then everything else is handwritten onto the staves, and it's laid out in such a way that all performers are visible on every page. There's no sort of cutaway things going on. And it's about 13 pages, so I'm thinking 30 seconds a page on average. And yeah, hopefully this video isn't that much longer than the piece. I'll try to keep my comments short, but let's get into it. I'm excited to hear what this specific piece by Patricia is like, and I'm excited to get to know the score a little bit here. Okay, super cool little theatrical piece here. I think this was a great piece to choose to start this series. Well, I didn't choose to start with it. It just happened to be the first one, but it's it really takes the ensemble and does something interesting with it, and sort of emphasizes how versatile Pierrot Ensemble can be, and how it always kind of has been a very like versatile ensemble where the musicians are all specialists in new music, and there's the instrumentation is a little bit malleable, but this really stretched sort of what the instrumentation could sound like, and having multiple people scrubbing on the piano and also playing their instruments was really interesting effect on stage. And some of the acoustic choices I found really interesting, like pairing some of these high piano sounds with dulcimer sounds towards the end. created this really weird effect where the piano sound almost became distorted into this smaller thing. And similarly, having like almost no flute, but having the performer sing into the flute, and it's an alto flute, so it closely kind of matches the human voice where it's singing, and just little details like that I thought really stood out. Having that, for example, merge with some of the string harmonics at the end, it was all very tasteful, I think, and I think the choice to amplify the piano was really smart too. A lot of these sounds were super quiet, and this allowed for more control and sort of blending. And in terms of the quotation, I thought it was really restrained, and it didn't quote the melody of the folk song at all. It just quoted this sort of accompanimental figure that's like a descending scale, and that is something that Berio wrote for sure. Like, it's probably one of the more distinctive things about that folk song in the Berio. So I think the reference is clear, but very minimal. Like, probably as minimal as you could push it. Yeah, thanks for listening to my commentary, and I hope it is helpful, and I hope it helped ease you into the listening experience today.